dog sounds that you may hear. I'm missing a few members of my family tonight, are in various places, not at home. So I don't have my dog corrallers. So we all are going to be forgiving because, we just came out of Yom Kippur. And so that works, right? We're starting fresh. And I know that you're a friendly crowd. So, oh, good. Here comes Mimi from California. And here we are. We are on the other side. All my rabbi friends and I have been texting hello from the other side. So I hope that we all feel that sense of being on the other side of something really transformative. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do tonight is have a little bit more of a chance to interact and hear from you, maybe what you are bringing out from the high holy days that we spent together and all of the days of awe period. And I'd love to hear, because one of the things that I know Rabbi Schaefer and I really missed is that opportunity to really schmooze after services. And it's always so wonderful to hear just what are people taking away from the experience. And I'm eager to hear that. I didn't get to hear it in person as we were trying to avoid crowding together. And of course, a lot of people were just streaming and not there in person. So it'd be wonderful to take tonight for a little bit of that. And you'll see how we'll work that in during our Devar Torah slot. So I am going to start us off with, I think we should just sing a song before we light candles. I feel like maybe we could sing Hine Matov. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Andy just goes with whatever. He's so great. Such a good sidekick. All right, here we go. Join in. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. שבת אחים גם יחד יאי לי 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 יאי לי יאי יאי לי 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 יאי לי לי יאי לי 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 יאי לי לי. So let's take a couple deep breaths together. And it's so funny, coming out of Yom Kippur is called a Shabbat Shabbaton, the Shabbatiest of all Shabbats. That's the way I translate it anyway. I'm sure there's a much more intellectual sounding and rabbinic sounding way to translate it, but Shabbatiest Shabbat is what I like to say. So that's Yom Kippur. So it's so interesting to just have a day, and now we're entering into holy time again. So there can be just a lot of dissonance. We just had our day, whatever we did, and we're back in holy time. So let's take a breath to just root ourselves in this gift of Shabbat. Even though we just came out of Shabbat Shabbaton, and create a spaciousness in yourself, maybe by rolling your shoulders back so that your heart space, both physically and metaphorically, is a little more open to do the work of Kabbalat Shabbat, of receiving Shabbat tonight. And with that, we'll light candles. If you have candles, want to bring them to your screen to share the light, please do that. And the blessing for candle lighting is on page 2. Bring in this first Shabbat, having walked through those gates. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvot Shematav V'tzivanu Lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Let's welcome our angels with Shalom Aleichem on page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bu'echem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Tonight we read from this weekend, the Shabbat, we read from Parshat Ha'azinu, one of the great poems in the Torah, and something we'll have a chance to learn about a little bit later this evening. So I'd like to be able to share some poetry this evening connected with our prayers. And as we prepare for Psalm 96, a psalm that evokes the power of the trees to sing out the joy of God, I'd like to share one of my favorite poems from Wendell Berry called I Go Among Trees. I go among trees and sit still. All my stirring becomes quiet. Around me like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a little while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings, and I hear its song. Then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternations, I hear my song at last, and I sing it. As we sing, the day turns, the trees move. We sing together from Psalm 96, which can be found on page 13.
Is it page 13? Yeah, there we go. Ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai, ya lai lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai, ya lai lai. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו. practicing with Andy, I can't resist doing our Leonard Cohen version of Lecha Dodi. So we'll do Hallelujah, Lecha Dodi on pages 20 and 21. Verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on 9, if we are able to do this and are comfortable, we can rise and face the entrance to our homes, as the Kabbalists, the mystics, did back when they composed this beautiful poem of a song. And we'll greet whatever Shabbat is and needs to be for us. They imagined it as a bride or a queen. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה. בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה. בני שבת נקבלה. We rise. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה. בני שבת נקבלה. Okay, I think Shabbat feels warmly welcomed. And now we can experience that Magadlu moment, as Larry calls it, the moment of wow, the moment of wonder. Perhaps you can think of a moment that you had as you observed the High Holy Days. If anyone would like to share, that's here on the Zoom, a moment of awe. It could have been a melody, a word, an insight you had, anything at all. Go ahead and unmute and share if you'd like. Go ahead, Larry.
It was certainly a wow to be back in the sanctuary for our High Holy Day services. It was truly special to be there with everybody, and I thank the clergy, our lay leaders, and our staff for making that all possible. It was, I'm sure, not an easy effort, but it was very much appreciated, and it was a wow once we were there.
Thank you. Agreed. It was a wow. Anyone else? Yes, Amy, go ahead and unmute.
Okay. It was your gorgeous voice. I think you're just beautiful. You sound like an angel. It
Thank
was
you
just
so much.
beautiful, just beautiful. So you're welcome.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear. Anyone else? So, oh, was someone have something to share? Diane, was that you?
I have to unmute.
Go ahead. You're unmuted.
I love the High Holiday services. They were fabulous.
Great. So glad you were there. Anyone else? So,
In terms of the music, the coordination between you and the cantor and the chorus, the videos were really terrific in the way they were coordinated.
oh, thanks, Elliot. Great. So Sukkot is a harvest holiday. So I keep thinking about the way that we might be able to harvest what we are bringing out from the experience of our sacred season, and think about how we can harvest that and make something beautiful. To use the harvest and produce metaphor, this is so goofy, but I keep thinking you can make a delicious fruit salad out of it. So forgive me, but yeah, so keep thinking about it, because we tend to, I think a lot of people, including rabbis, including myself, come out of it and like, we're on to the next thing. But maybe even if you're a person who likes to write in a journal, or in any way, just, or make art, or do something that might express something that you're taking away from this season. I did a lot of emphasizing that we were all bringing in something different. And if you heard me at the beginning of each service, I sort of named that and said, we're all coming from somewhere different, and we're all bringing our own questions and challenges and insights and needs. And I think we're also each bringing out something that's very unique, and it would be really special to share that with each other. So like I said, we'll have a chance in a little bit. It's wonderful to hear these wow moments. We'll turn to page 342 at the top for this excerpt of Psalm 92, which is specifically said it is a psalm for Shabbat, although we sing many psalms on Shabbat. But I think it's because on Shabbat we can really take a sacred pause and really experience wonder. So join me with hallelujah, or with these words as you're comfortable. Hallelujah, 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 Magadu, Masechaya, Me'adam kumachshevo Tzechad, Magadu, Masechaya, Me'adam kumachshevo Tzechad. Magadu, Masechaya, Me'adam kumachshevo Tzechad. Magadu, Masechaya, Me'adam kumachshevo Tzechad. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Turn to page 28 for Baruch Hu. Please rise in body or spirit. And if you would like to, you can unmute yourself for the responsive line. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
As we give thanks for God who brings on the evening, I want to share an inspirational poem from Alden Solovey based on Ma'ariv Aravim. Let me dance in the sky with prayers and blessings for the ones I love, raising those hopes to the gates of heaven. Let me sing among the stars with mystery and magic for the holiness around us, raising these dreams to the gates of redemption. For there is music in the dawn and blessings at dusk, a radiance of glory, carrying our voices beyond the firmament to the one who created all being. Source and shelter, you set the course of sun and moon, bringing on the evening twilight, calling forth time and space with majesty and wonder. Blessed are you, soul of the universe, summoning the heavens, declaring the reign of holiness. Baruch atah Adonai, ha-ma'ariv aravim.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הערבים. Giving thanks for light and then giving thanks for love, for the great gift of love that is manifest in Torah. Torah in the broadest sense, the wisdom, our sacred values of our tradition that have been handed down through the millennia. We'll sing Ahavat Olam on page 32. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגב יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Hashem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. If you're still standing, you can be seated. And we'll chant V'ahavta on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha lechol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם ושבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
So you probably heard the name Wendell Berry before, and if you've been with us for services, you've heard of Alden Solovey, who's written poetry for so much of our liturgy, but you probably have not heard the name of this next poet. I discovered her through the magic of Google, and she's a college student in North Carolina named Tegan Gilliam, and she wrote this beautiful poem inspired by Micha Mocha. You split open the sea, creating a path for me, delivering us from slavery to bring us to a sweet and savory land. We sang out songs of freedom. Micha Mocha, who is like you? You've done it before and you can do it again. I am a slave to my own mind, and sometimes I lose hope, and it makes me feel like I am going blind. Despite the unsettling friction in daily life, still I sing, Micha Mocha, who is like you? You've done it before and you can do it again. I will watch and listen for your voice, for guidance to continue my journey. It is not over yet. Micha Mocha, who is like you? I have to say, there is no one quite like you. Such beautiful words of hope. We sing together Micha Mocha on page 40.
Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei feleh, Nora tehilot osei feleh, Malchutecha ra'u בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ידי ידי ידי
I love that melody. You may remember that I've told you this, but it's a melody that was composed for a beautiful verse from the Song of Songs. Ani yeshena v'libi er. I am asleep, but my heart is awake. And I learned from a Rabbi Tova Spitzer. She does Micha Mocha to this, and I just love it. And when we have the opportunity to sing in harmony, it fills my soul. I don't take that for granted anymore, getting to sing with another person in person. It's just incredible. So may there be many more moments like that. We are going to sing Hashkivenu, and then we'll sing Ufros Aleinu, and those are on page 42. And this blessing is really awesome for Sukkot is starting Monday night. And we're going to sing in Ufros Aleinu about a Sukkat Shlomecha, about a sukkah of shalom, a canopy of peace. And for our lying down blessing, Hashkivenu, we may well have a guest musician by the name of Idan Berkman, who is 7 years old. And I'm so happy he has agreed to join us on Hashkivenu. It's been a while. He's been, out on tour, so he hasn't been really available to help us with services. But here he is. He's back off the tour bus. And all right, so Hashkivenu, let us lie down in peace. Let us wake up to a new day. How beautiful to say a blessing like that at the end of a day, recognizing what a precious gift each day is before we go to sleep. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu
לחיים ושמור צאתנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Third line down. The dogs really wanted to be involved in this song as well. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, I'm so sorry. It's a peaceful blessing. It really is. So soon we'll be in our Sukkot. I hope you'll have the experience of spending a little time in a sukkah, maybe the one that we will have at the synagogue. Maybe you have your own, maybe a friend's. But it is a beautiful experience of rejoicing in the midst of being vulnerable in a sukkah that is specifically mandated not to be very stable. And it's just an incredible piece of our tradition. I'm so sorry. That get them a treat, maybe. We're gonna lure them with treats. That we are commanded to rejoice on Sukkot. That's one of the commandments of Sukkot, and we are supposed to be exposed to the elements. So I want you to think about the juxtaposition of joy and vulnerability, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, next Shabbat as well. In the midst of Sukkot, as we sing, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, spread over us a canopy of your peace, God. Ufros aleinu Okay, you can all talk to my husband who had to go out of town this weekend with some of his friends, and let him know that it was unfortunate that he was not available to corral the dogs. I'm just kidding. I know that you're all fine with it. It added some harmony. I was just talking about how much I like harmony, and look at that. They may need a few voice lessons, but it was good for their first time. So over to Rabbi Schaefer.
Every time Hershey barked, Ruby would bark in response. And I thought about unmuting just so that they could have their conversation.
It's like the Baruchu. It's the Barku.
Yeah. There's an old saying in Boston that there are two seasons in this town. And I don't know which expression came first, August and winter, or construction and winter. But we both know there are two seasons in this area. And there are also two seasons in Judaism. We are ending the end of the summer season, where we have been praying for dew in the mornings during the second blessing of the Amidah. And for the next 2 weeks, we'll have a chance to continue that before we change over and begin to ask for the winter rains. And I'm just going into this blessing, this prayer with so much gratitude for the Amidah. It held so many of our prayers during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We talked about how it expands for these insertions. And I just feel this tremendous gratitude for this prayer that is able to hold all of our prayers for this time and for every part of the year. And we're going to turn together and rise in body or spirit for the Amidah on page 46. And we'll have a couple minutes after the first 3 blessings to continue with our own private prayers before we join together for a prayer for peace.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tegilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו source of life, love, and peace, enable us to make peace in our world. And Ben Omar, and let us say, Amen.
We take a moment this evening to offer our prayers of healing for those on our hearts and on our minds. And if you'd like to share the names of loved one in our chat to be read out loud, please take a moment to do so. As a community this evening, we're praying for the healing of Linda Grossman, Cassandra Warshawski, Chaya Blaima, Bat Chaim, Chia Basilia Ruchel, Jeffrey Colt, Seville Pacaglio, Elisa Simon, Leah Molka, Alicia Stanton, Chaya Zifra, Bat Zelda, Ann Bishop, Hannah Razel, Bat Menachem Mendel, Lucia Bloomberg, Gerald, and Molly Reese. And we add the names of Liesel, Marcia, Alan, Jerry, Susan, Vida Shosha, Bat Basha, V'chaim, Judy Rubenstein, Michael Poldwell. For all those mentioned out loud and for those on our hearts and mind, we offer this Misha Berach, which can be found on page 253 in the prayer book.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor Havracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor Havracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Hey, everyone we're thinking of tonight, know complete healing. Sorry. And thank you, Idan, for your musical participation. So just want to share a few words about where we are in Torah right now. We're at the end. That's where we are in Torah. We're in Parashat Ha'azinu. And I actually love this. It has a lot of resonance with, for those of you who are there and also paying attention. On Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, I gave a sermon about listening. And Ha'azinu means listen. So if you were listening, you heard me give a sermon about listening. And this is a very dramatic part of Torah. It is one of a few poems that call themselves poems, and that even look a little different in the Torah scroll. So we have an image for you that we can share with you so that you can see what it looks like. Although I have to give the caveat that I've seen it look differently from this, and be broken up a little bit differently. So this, but you can see this doesn't look typical. This does not look the same as the prose sections in the Torah scroll, which would be the complete lines without the break in the middle. All right, we can stop that screen share. So it's really special in that way, and it is quite dramatic and poetic. This is Moses at the very end of his life, giving basically a historical overview of, but in a very dramatic and poetic way, of what God has done for the Israelites, the ways that the Israelites have screwed up, and the ways that God has been with them throughout. And this is
because Moses is soon to reach the end of his life, and they are about to cross into the promised land. So there are a few really striking things. So actually, Josh, we can stop the screen share for a minute. I just want to say a few more things, and we're going to get to that. So there are a few really striking things that I just want to point out to you. One is that in the verse before this Torah portion begins, Moses says, the Hebrew is Vayedaber Moshe be'oznei kol kahal Yisrael et divrei hashira hazot ad tuma. That means then Moses recited the words of this poem. So it calls itself a poem, a shir, to the very end, be'oznei kol ha'am, be'oznei kol kahal Yisrael. That means in the ears of the whole community of Israel. So it doesn't just say, like it does many times in Torah, and Moses said this to the people. It says that Moses recited all of this in the ears of the people. So there's something kind of like next level listening going on here, right? This is not ordinary listening. And so I want you to think about that. And that's just the last line before this parsha of Hazinu. And then Hazinu is translated as give ear, because ozen is ear, okay? Oznaim is ear. So ha'azinu, you can hear the word for ear. So listen, but really give ear. So there's a lot of emphasis on the ears. And the verse says, give ear, O heavens, let me speak. Let the earth hear the words I utter. So again, it's not ordinary, listen up, folks, this is important. This is let the heavens and the earth hear inside, let these words get inside of their ears. And another verse soon after says, their children, the children of the Israelites, who have not had the experience, meaning the whole historical overview, shall hear and learn to revere the Lord your God as long as they live in the land that you are about to cross the Jordan to possess. So at the Passover Seder, we say, right, you have to tell this story, you have to pass down the story, and v'ahavta, teach this to your children. So again, the emphasis on you need to tell the story. I'm telling you this story now, perhaps in a more dramatic way, in this poetic form, because I'm speaking as Moses, because I need you to tell the story and make sure that all the generations that come after you don't forget, once they're in their land and they're no longer this wandering people, that they don't forget that they are in a covenantal relationship with the transcendent, that God was with them in a certain way when they needed God in a certain way through all the trials and tribulations of their wanderings. And there was a lot of drama to it. And if you have a chance this Shabbat to read through the parsha, you'll see all the drama. We don't have time to get into it right now, but I know, and Larry tomorrow morning is leading a Torah study on a specific verse. We'll say more about that later, but I encourage you to read it sometime because it's very poetic and dramatic. And so there's a lot of emphasis on you need to tell it. You also need to tell and retell this story. So maybe that's why it has to be so told in such a dramatic fashion. And then later it says, remember the days of old, consider the years of ages past, ask your father, he will inform you, ask your elders, they will tell you. So now that's directed to those who are at risk for not remembering, right? Maybe it's the children, it's the young people in their midst, and saying, even if someone might forget to tell you the story of how we went through this 40-year journey, you need to ask. So you need to ask about where you come from. And that's something that is so central to our tradition, knowing where you come from. You don't come here in a vacuum and poof, here you are. You're connected to something that transcends time. And we see this in this urgent, dramatic way as Moses is about to take leave of the people, and they're about to live in a whole different way from how they were living throughout the past 40 years and before that as a generation of slaves. And then finally, when Moses finished reciting all these words to Israel, Moses says, take to heart, simu levavchem. Lasim lev in modern Hebrew just means to pay attention, but I like this. It literally has the word heart in it. So simu levavchem, it really means put your hearts. Take to heart all the words with which I have warned you this day, and join them upon your children, that they may observe faithfully all the terms of this teaching. So a lot of emphasis on asking and telling the story, and the story is told, though many bits of the story are told throughout Deuteronomy, as it is really a retelling. It's Moses retelling all that has occurred in many ways, but we never see it painted in such stark, vibrant colors. In such a dramatic way. So now we can put up the screen share. We're not going to have a lot of time for this because I'm realizing it's very late. But I did want to share that just as a little what's it called? A little teaser for a class that I ran for several months, and some of you were there. Every Thursday morning, we used a book called Directing the Heart: Weekly Mindfulness Teachings and Practices from the Torah by Rabbi Yael Levy. And I also used her in our Yom Kippur meditation yesterday. Some of you were there. And every week in my class, which will restart on October 7th on Thursday mornings, time TBD. So she has a poetic and mindfulness-based kind of rendering of each Torah portion that we use. And I can't resist sharing it with you. And take it in either by looking at the screen or just listening. Listen, remember, reflect on the paths that brought you to this moment. Take notice of the twists and turns that have led you right here. Sorry for the typos. Lift up your face to receive blessings that flow from the mystery and come down upon you like rain. Blessings that come like soft showers, like dew upon the earth. And notice the tendency to say, I don't deserve the blessings. I have fallen short. I have done wrong. Notice the inclination to raise up misdeeds as barriers, to use them as excuses for not stepping forward into the fullness of life. Listen and remember, life will continue to unfold with mystery, with passion, with grace. Life will continue to be filled with joy, magnificence, disappointments, and pain. You will love. You will dream, you will yearn, you will fly, and you will fall. You will get lost, you will be dizzy with pain, and I will be there with you, the Holy One declares, reminding you again and again to listen, to remember, and to return home to me. Place these words upon your heart. Everything that ever happened brought us to this moment, and everything that will ever be flows forth from here. And this is your life, right here, right now. Lift. Then I put in the original verses just so you could compare them, but we don't have time to really look at those now. So I'll just go down to where she says, lift your face to receive blessings, blessings that flow from the infinite and come upon you like rain. And place words upon your hearts that will help you meet well the offerings of each moment. Words that will fully inspire you to engage fully with this mysterious unfolding of life. And that's the end. I accidentally pasted it twice. Thank you, Josh. We can stop the screen share. So it gives you a sense of what a mindfulness-based rendering of the Parsha is, and maybe you'll be interested in joining. It's a drop-in class anytime you wish. You can attend, and more information will be coming in the newsletter. So we're going to close the service, but then in the interest of listening and listening to each other, if anyone can stay on even for 5 minutes and would like to just share with each other anything you're bringing out of the High Holy Days, I'm hoping that we will provide some more opportunities as well in the coming weeks, but we'll do that after we close our service so that we can have the conversation just among us on Zoom. Those of you who are out there in live stream land or on Facebook, if you were with us, with our community at all over the High Holy Days, and you would like to share anything, any feedback, but also just any wisdom, anything that resonated for you, anything that you're carrying forward, I would love to hear from you. It's hard when you don't really know who's out there and what people are taking away. So we'd really love to hear from you. Please feel free to send us an email or give us a call, make an appointment with myself or with Rabbi Schaefer anytime. Okay, so we're on page 282. Go ahead, Rabbi Schaefer.
Thank you. And I want to travel to live stream land. That sounds like a magical place. We're going to move to conclude our service with Aleinu, which is on page 282. Please rise in body or spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shehu notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz, uvmoshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu so b'gokei meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You're welcome to be seated.
So we're going to recite Mourner's Kaddish now. If you're observing a yard site or are in a time of mourning, these are our yard sites of community members here on the screen. And if you'd like to unmute and share or share a name in the chat, please feel free. As a community tonight, we are remembering Zachary Lipoff, beloved grandson of Rabbi Emily Lipoff. And Norma Pearl Weber, Ed Golden, Luz Maria Salamanca, Judy Rubenstein, and Michael Podwell. I'm sorry if that was for the Mishaberach. I am so sorry. Yes. It's hard to tell when things came in, but I know, I don't know if the Feldmans are here, thinking of Peter Feldman, and anyone out there. I hope you'll say the name of her. Oh, go ahead, Diane. Go ahead, Diane.
Bill Sullivan.
For all those we're remembering, and those of you at home on live stream sharing names aloud, may their memories be for an eternal blessing. We recite Mourner's Kaddish. If you're in the book, we're on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yamad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael v'gala u'v'zman kori v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Say shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
Thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. And a special thank you to Andy for bringing your music and your presence to our services. It's so good to have you. Thank you to Josh for making everything smooth and easy behind the scenes. And I want to give a big thank you to our facility staff, even though they may not hear it on this, but who got up this morning and helped build our sukkah. We're so grateful that we have a sukkah, and we need your help to finish it. As I said in the newsletter this morning, the mitzvah of building the sukkah actually occurs when you place the skach on the roof, and the town of Brookline generously donates pine branches to us every year. They're sitting there on the hillside. In the next few days, if you're near the synagogue, go grab one, put it on the roof, help fulfill the mitzvah of building the sukkah, and then stop by this week to sit in it, to celebrate. We hope to see you for Sukkot and Simchat Torah, which will be on Tuesday night, September 28th. And tomorrow, please join us on Zoom at 10:30. Larry Green will be leading Torah study along with Shir Chadash.
Larry, did you want to say a brief word about that?
Thank you, Rabbi. We're going to be beginning looking at the this week's Parsha. Rabbi Berkman made reference before to the line, remember the days of old. There's a word that appears there, a Hebrew word is emot. This is the only time it appears in all of Torah, but that same word will appear a number of times in a psalm that is not a psalm of David, it is a psalm of Moses. And we're going to be looking at that psalm. It appears in the beautiful verse, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So we'll be looking at that and hopefully having a wonderful discussion on that subject.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Larry. I'm sure that will be great. And thank you so much for taking over so we can get a little bit of a break tomorrow. Okay, I'd also like to thank my son Idan for his musical contributions and the dogs for their musical contributions. Thanks ever so much, Coco and Hershey. All right, so we're going to make Kiddush and Motzi. If you have some wine or juice and some challah or any kind of bread and want to join us, please do. The blessings are on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו ובחרת, אותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. Now the moment that Coco and Hershey have been waiting for. Motzi. Challah is absolutely their favorite food. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. It's Idan's favorite food also.
No, it isn't.
No. Okay.
I mean, yes, it is. Thank you. Oh, come on.
Here you go.
Not when you ate it.
All right. So we're going to close with Olam Chesed Yibaneh. May we build a world of chesed, of compassion and peace. Please join us. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Dadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Dadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai,
I will build this world from love. Da 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 da. And you will build this world from love. Da 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 da. And if we build this world from love, da 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 da, then God will build this world from love. Da 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 da. Olam chesed yibaneh. Da 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 da. Olam chesed yibaneh. Da 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 da. Olam chesed yibaneh. Da 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 da. Olam chesed yibaneh. Da 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 da. Thank you all out there for joining us.